reason why I do that, because it's kind of my mission here, is to put it together and then to bring it to you. And to if that knowledge has the ability to activate and to put a piece of the puzzle of your own journey or connect a dot, then I'm doing my mission correctly. So one of the fortunate things is that I've had the ability to do is to research this understanding of what we call the 0 point energy, the 0 point state of being. And a lot of you might are familiar with that term, or it might be new to you. But what that term actually represents is that when we look at it, is all energy fields that are in existence here in this present moment. At this moment, we have to look at it that there's a variable, there's a duality, there's a positive, there's a negative. And it's, in the Tao Te Ching, it talks about under heaven is once we're below the heavenly states, there's a duality, and everything is in a perspective of plus or minus. Beauty, ugliness, joy, anger, so it's all there in that aspect. So when we start to tap this understanding, we can even look at it from our own energy fields. And we have a positive vibration, we have a negative vibration, but even when there's an electrochemical reaction, and this goes back to the ancient understandings when we go to the sites in Egypt and in India and different places around the world, we start seeing that they were able to tap what we call the 0 point. And what that 0 point is, it's the place in between, where there's no polarity, there's no positive, there's no negative. You're in the absolute stasis of what would be considered stillness in the energy. And when we can achieve that, that's when everything changes around you. Your whole perception, your cell structure, your perception of what the world is, and you start to thin the veil of the illusions around you. So, because most people, we move into a reactive state. We're in a positive state, and then we're in a negative state. And you can see, if I say, think of something negative, that's pretty easy for people. Think of something positive, it's pretty easy. But if you say, well, think of something in the 0 point state, well, that's not as easy, because usually when you achieve that state, you're thoughtless. You're just you're in the moment of stillness. And that's when everything in our presence expands out. So one of the fortunate things is that, being an engineer and working with electronics my entire life, I was able to connect the dots of what is kind of missing and bring it forth once again. When I studied the ancient sites and I realized that they were harnessing incredible energy fields, that was under what was considered a unified field. And when we bring that forth and use our technology or our knowledge of our consciousness and technology, we can bring forth this energy field once again. It is here. It's just we just have to awaken to bring it forth again. So I did bring a technology over here, which is actually called the Lifestream Generator, and that is the technology that I build. And it was handed to me. It was actually a part of an ancient understanding. It's been around for thousands of years. You could see it on the walls in Egypt, and understanding that there were different methods during different eras of existence here where this technology, when we're consciously ready, comes back. And so I've been very honored to be a steward, to bring the technology forth. I am not an inventor of it at all. That would be an egoic thing for me to say, especially when you see it, thousands of years ago on the walls. So I got over that years ago. So one of the wonderful things about it is that we've been doing this work for 10 years. And we've been doing studies around the world in 23 different countries. And the last 2 years has just been phenomenal, what's been coming back, just over a period of time of being in this energy and understanding what it does with the human aspect within the physical body, but also the mind and our higher understanding to our existence. So, once I'm here, sometimes I always like to see if anyone is interested in being a demonstration of it. And if all you do is you go over there and you just sit in the chair and we turn it on. So is anyone interested in doing that while I'm talking? Okay, good, great. What's your name?
Haley.
Haley, I'm John. Hello.
John.
So just go over there and have a seat. Well, it looks like Swaha beats you to it.
All right. Wow.
So are you going to do it?
Yeah.
Okay. So all he's going to do is he's going to sit there, and I'm going to turn the technology on. And we'll set it up just for a little 5 minutes, but we're going to have this set up all day So people will be able to come over and experience it. So now you're going to ask, what is he experiencing? Well, he's actually sitting in front of a radiant energy field that is producing about 2.5 million volts of radiant energy. And it's an etherical energy. It's not one of those Tesla devices that discharge energy. It's in her harmony. And, you know, if you're sensitive, you'll feel it within about 30 seconds to a minute. It'll start to feel the little... Yeah, so what it does in our physical bodies, from the science aspect, it charges our cells. Our cells, when we're in this energy, it's almost like a sponge, you know, and it starts to just absorb it. And we go into a cellular saturation effect. And once the cells get topped off with this energy, then it uses that energy inwards. But when you're in this energy, what's very interesting, let me make sure, I just built this unit last night, let me make sure it's working accordingly. So I usually leave a person in there for about 3 to 5 minutes, and then we can do an observation of how people are experiencing it. But the aspect, one of the things that if you do experience this, one of the things that it does introduce you to, it's almost like stepping into a vortex. And when, you know, in a sacred site.
Well, I'm aware that there is this heaviness sort of out there, and within here it's just peace and quiet.
So are you at that point of stillness in the mind?
And I have this awareness that out here there's this other thing, this other energy, this other heaviness.
Excellent. Well, good. Well, that's the key factor of understanding, because usually when we put a person in there within 2 or 3 minutes, I say, okay, can you think of a negative thought? People usually just start to laugh because they can't. They're like, no, my mind won't go there. I said, well, where is your mind? They go, it's here. It's just here. I can't really think of anything else right now. It's too much of an effort. And then they usually just start to smile, because all of a sudden that's the place where we want to be. And that's putting us in what we call the 0-point stasis. And when we get there, where our mind is not wandering, because of course we know where our anxiety comes from. It comes from bringing our thoughts out of the present moment into a future, you know, where it's not going to unfold, but we still do it anyway, because we're conditioned. We've been trained, you know, in our societies to think out of the present moment, to always plan about something.
Well, my body's generating waves now that's rippling out.
That's one.
You can come on if you want.
I can feel it over there.
So yeah, if you do get the opportunity to experience a field of this, one of the things that I always suggest is that you keep it with you. You categorize that. You make it a moment in time, and allow your cells, your mind and body and spirit to remember that energy. Because once you tap that 0 point, once your cells go into that harmony, it's almost like you're attracted to it. And 9 out of 10 people, after they experience it, they seek me out and they say, hey, can I do that again? You know, I'm called to do it again. And the body and the mind knows what it wants. So especially if we're challenging in the normal life, in the 3-dimensional aspects, when we tap into this 0 point energy, then it brings us, we can handle this much easier. We generate that energy field around us, and then we're not reactive to the outside environment. People are going to act differently around you. If you're in a neutral state of being, the drama cannot come to you very easily. By the time they get to you, it's neutralizing itself, and you have the ability to change the energy in the room. So there's also key aspects of doing this. Of course, it's not all about the technology itself. It's about the understanding of what we're all capable of doing. And one of the first things is that if you want to do a certain method, Xander, there's some little cards in the box there. If you want to pass them out to people, that would be great. It's understanding the breath, the energy that we are and what we're connected to, understanding that, you know, we're not separated from the earth. We just have to reconnect our beings back into that understanding, rooting ourselves back into the mother itself. And when we do that, we become this fountain. And when we tap into that, then we're a fountain. We cannot be depleted. You know, because if you walk into a room and all of a sudden someone's draining your energy, that's because you're disconnected. You know, and they're just grabbing the energy that they can get. You know, and they're feeders on that. And you can do the same thing. You know, you can give your energy in healing arts. And some people go through a depleting challenge. But if you, just pass them out. So if you go and, but if you understand how to do this rooting and this tapping, then you're an endless supply of energy. You cannot be depleted. You will thrive the more work that you do. So this little card on the back of it just has a little key elements of how to maintain that if you lose your way, if anxiety is getting to you, stresses, you know, you start to remember these certain methods of how to tap that. And then once the cards are passed out, we can just do the method ourselves. Then you can do it sitting, you can do it standing, you can do it at any time, you can do it in the car, thanks. So the first thing is, of course, you know, we can breathe in many different aspects. You know, most people in the normal aspect are breathing very shallow. And they're not even aware of the breath until you bring it up. It's like, well, let's take a breath. And all of a sudden then they take a real breath because you're bringing it into their awareness. Because remember, it's subconscious. You know, we don't really think about our breathing. This is going to turn it back on for you if you want to see. How'd that feel?
It felt really interesting. Wow.
What happened?
I found 0 point. I found it.
Yeah, you notice her face kind of shifted a little bit?
The whole chair went crooked.
No, I was crooked, so I
Oh,
sat down
the
on
chair.
it.
Okay, so the chair is acting up. Can you see if you can fix that, bud? So, you know, again, these little notes here, you know, when we understand the breath and, you know, when we're feeling out of that moment, we're feeling duality, we're feeling going through a positive and negative shift, always bring ourselves back to the center and take deep breaths. You know, we just take that deep, slow breath. And you can do that if you want. And then from that aspect, now this is a key one, is that if you can, in that moment of the breath, is that no matter where you are, what you want to do is you want to bring your present consciousness to focus. And what I mean by that is that you want to stop and you want to just really focus on bringing yourself present. And you can say it within yourself. You say, you know, let's bring myself present. And each time you do this, you enforce your mind to be still. And so you do it 3 times. You go into 3 iterations of this. You say, I wish to bring myself into the present moment while you're taking those deep breaths. And you just do this 3 times. I wish to bring myself into the present moment. And when you do that, you'll notice the energy will change around you. It'll change immediately within you. And you'll be clearer. Your eyes might even enhance. And you'll notice that things are more stable. Your mind's not drifting. So when we do that one, that's a really good one. So now the rooting is that when you're doing this presence, at the same time, you combine all of these methods that are on the card. And then at the same time, we want to do the same thing, is that we want to understand our own energy. And we want to send it into the earth just like the trees do. Our roots just grow, and we just let it energetically go about 10 to 12 feet into the earth. And once you feel that energy going in, now you're connected. So now you open that energy up again, and now you let the energy of the earth feed you. And now that'll come out from this point on out. And you can project that energy into the room because it's a unified energy. It can't be manipulated any other way. And this is where it gets really fun when you start doing these certain methods. So from there is that, you know, again, radiating that energy being the fountain. Again, when you walk in the room, you can change the energy of the room, especially if it's from a higher intention. And that's the key aspect of this. So that's kind of it for the card. The technology will be here. You know, if Swaha's good with us leaving it there, we'll have it set up so anyone could come and experience it. And I have some information if you're curious about the technology and want to know more. I have a center in Santa Monica, and I do free demonstrations. We can do many things with this technology. We can transfer it through touch, which blows people away. You know, how you release all the tension in your body, in the muscles, you know, revitalize, you know, and reset the system so you just have a higher quality of life. And that's the key aspect of my research, is to bring this here, to bring everything into balance and to live into that high quality and high purpose. So that's it for me.
Great, thanks, John.